Oh, man. Oh, man. Boy, do I feel stupid. I had the wrong microphone selected. You know, it's been one of those days. Third live stream in 24 hours. I am exhausted. It's Labor Day. Not supposed to work on Labor Day. What are you doing? This is the third live stream in 24 hours. This is your WWE Monday Night Raw review. It is Labor Day, September 5th, 2022. I am the Solomonster. A very tired Solomonster. Don't laugh at me. Don't make fun of me. Don't bully me. Braun Strowman is back, everybody. I know you're all so excited to see Braun Strowman back. Braun Strowman is back, and based on what they did with him here tonight on this show, it also makes me wonder if Vince McMahon is back. Because what they did with him reminds me of something Vince McMahon actually did 3 years ago with Braun Strowman. What we saw tonight, where he laid waste to the majority of the tag team division, this is not the first time that this has happened. He came out tonight in the middle of a number one contenders match for the tag team championship, and he beat the hell out of all 8 men. It was the Street Profits, and it was Los Lotharios, and it was the New Day. All of these teams completely just demolished by Braun Strowman, who is looking to be, physically in the best shape of his entire life. The guy he's trim, he's jacked, looks to be in great shape. What they did with him tonight, I thought was very stupid. So that's the return of Braun Strowman, who is also going to be on SmackDown this Friday, by the way. So he's going from Raw tonight to SmackDown on Friday. We also had a steel cage match for the United States Championship. Bobby Lashley defending the title against The Miz. That was our main event tonight. And I will say, I thought that this show was very dull. Let me just get that out of the way first. This was not one of the more exciting episodes of Monday Night Raw. It wasn't terrible. There were things on this show that I liked. Kevin Owens, by the way, is the star of this show. Ever since the fans have turned this guy babyface, he comes out. He had that match with Drew McIntyre a few weeks ago. He comes out tonight. He has this pretty long match, about 15, 16 minutes or so, with Austin Theory. Owens is killing it right now. He really is. He's the MVP of Monday Night Raw. But I will say that my favorite moment of the night, it actually came at the end of the show. It came in the main event. As Miz is trying to climb out of the ring to win this steel cage match, which was entirely designed to keep Dexter Lumis out of the match. Miz is about to climb down, and he looks down on the floor, and this is the image that he sees. Dexter Lumis is laying there. Half his body is under the ring. The top half of his body is sticking out. Boy, tell me that this is not meme-worthy material right here. Dexter Lumis is watching you do what? Dexter Lumis is watching you blank. This is going to be the new meme now. I laughed at this. This actually might have been the most entertaining single moment of the entire show. Bobby Lashley is still the United States champion. We did not have a title change. I don't know anybody who actually thought there would be a title change on this show. I don't know why you would think there would be a title change on this show. There was not going to be a title change on this show. Austin Theory, I mentioned him, and Tommaso Ciampa. What do they have in common? They both have their first names back. Triple H has given them their first names back. I hear about people getting their first names back, which we've heard about a lot over these last few weeks. And I have this image in my head. I just picture all of the first names being held captive like little POWs in a little prison camp, and they're all, chained to the wall until Triple H, who's like dressed like Rambo, he's got the bullet belt around him, busts into the cell. He's got an AK-47 in his hand, and he's just sort of, he's leading them all to safety on this rescue mission. He's directing them to the chopper nearby. Triple H is bringing back these first names, so we can call them Austin and Tommaso again. But when this show is over, I just thought that it was largely a very boring show. I thought it was a very dull show. I enjoyed the Kevin Owens match. I got a little chuckle out of what I just showed you there at the end of the main event. They continued the story with the Mysterios and, Judgment Day. Again, it wasn't bad. It was just we got to the end of the second hour and we had that 1 hour left. And there have been some shows that Triple H has put together in recent weeks where you get to the beginning of hour 3 and it doesn't feel like it. It's like, oh, okay, usually at this point in the show, I'm ready to tap out. I'm kind of bored. They're kind of losing me. And it's been better in recent weeks. Tonight was not one of those nights. By the third hour, I was ready for the show to be over. It felt like a 3-hour show tonight. Maybe it's just the come down from all the wrestling we got this weekend, right? Excellent Clash at the Castle. All Out was last night. We had the All Out Part 2 that came after the pay-per-view, the Media Scrum edition of All Out. NXT was sort of buried in the rubble. It was buried in there, but they had a very good show also. Tonight just couldn't compare to all the wrestling that we got this weekend. But this is your Monday Night Raw review for Labor Day. Hit that sub button if you are not subscribed to the channel. Super Chats are open. I'll be reading your Super Chats. The goal for Be the Booker tonight is 500 likes. So if we're going to do Be the Booker, 500 is the number to try to reach. I did mention All Out. If you missed it, went live earlier this afternoon. This is my third stream of the day. We had a stream after midnight. We had a stream at around 4 o'clock this afternoon, and now we have this stream. The afternoon stream was pretty much my reaction to the media scrum that I missed last night, where CM Punk buried everyone. And I do mean everyone. So if you want my thoughts on that, you'll go back at the end of this and check it out. I do have more news, by the way. There is more news that I did not include in my update this afternoon, and I'm going to save that for after the Raw review. I'll give you the latest update on what the hell happened at that media scrum when CM Punk got up from the table and went to go to his locker room. That is where all of the fun began. So I'm going to have that update for you a little bit later on. But let's get into this Raw show first, shall we? Let's kick things off with Monday Night Raw. Raw opened with Edge coming to the ring 2 days after being kicked in the nuts by Dominic Mysterio. He spoke about his history with the Mysterio family. He talked about how anytime that they had events in San Diego, he would be able to stay over at their house. He was the one who gave Dominic advice and tried to talk to him and calm him down before he had his first match in front of a live audience. Edge wondered if Dominic turned on him and his father because of the time that Edge accidentally speared him on Raw all those weeks ago. He was wondering if that might have something to do with it. He felt that it was his fault, that the Judgment Day have made their lives hell, but he also knows that Ray raised Dominic better than this. He said that Dominic and his father can hash things out, but he is a different animal. He won't be so forgiving. He said, and a man's game pays a man's price. He called Dominic down to the ring so he could beat his ass. He got Rey Mysterio instead. Rey came down to the ring and said, look, Dominic is still my son. Please, let me handle this, please. And Edge said, look, Dominic is old enough to drink. He's old enough to drive. He's old enough to stand for his actions. And again, he called Dominic out to the ring. He got Rhea Ripley instead, which I think is a trade-up. Rhea comes out, says that Dominic is not Ray's little baby boy anymore. She saw the potential in him, and she has turned him into a man. She has made a man out of Dominic Mysterio. Man, this has got to be the greatest storyline ever for Dominic. Fuck the whole custody ladder match thing from 2005, right? This is Dominic's new favorite storyline here. Dominic walked out in a black dress shirt. His hair was all slicked back. Apparently, the Judgment Day took him to the Gap during the day, so he was able to upgrade his wardrobe from the rags that he's been wearing on TV over the last few weeks. Now he actually looked like he was getting ready to go out to the club or something. And he even got... When he walked out, first thing I noticed, when Dominic walked out, the way that he kind of swaggered out there, and maybe he was trying this on purpose, but if not, there might be something to the whole idea that he is Eddie Guerrero's son, because he walked out there just like Eddie Guerrero would. Like, even back in the WCW days, like heel Eddie in the Cruiserweight division, the way he would kind of saunter on out there. Swear to God, that's exactly what Dominic reminded me of when he walked out here. And he even got chants from the crowd of Eddie's son, from the audience. So Ray told Dominic to snap out of it, asked him to make amends with Edge. Rhea said that Dom no longer listens to Ray, and Edge can't stop his Judgment Day. Ripley and Dominic started to walk down to the ring. Ray left the ring to confront them in the aisleway. Ray told Dominic not to do this. Dominic looked straight ahead. He would not even make eye contact with his father. Wouldn't even look him in the eye. Ray walked to the back. And they teased getting into the ring with Edge, but he was attacked by Finn Balor. He saw Balor coming, so he turned around, and he's fighting Finn. Damian Priest entered the ring. Dominic then slid into the ring, and he clipped Edge's knee from behind. And then he immediately slid right back out of the ring. He told them Ray came back out, and he confronted Dominic and Rhea in the aisleway. They blocked his path. He was trying to come down to save Edge, and they blocked his path, and he said, "Get out of the way." And Dominic wouldn't move. So he got up in front of Rhea. Rhea stepped at his path. He said, "Get out of the way." And Rhea wouldn't move either. Dominic shoved his father. Rhea then clubbed Ray in the back of the head, threw him into the ring steps. Priest chokeslammed Edge in the ring. Ripley handed a chair to Dominic, and Dominic handed the chair into the ring to Finn Balor. And they took the chair. They did an injury angle here, where Balor came down off the top rope with the double stomp onto the chair. The chair had been wrapped around Edge's ankle. So I thought they were doing the obligatory, injury angle with Edge to put him out so he can disappear for 3 or 4 months from TV and go on another vacation. But they did announce later in the show that he's going to wrestle Dominic next week. So whatever injury angle this was a temporary injury. They could be setting up for Dominic to get his first big win. The biggest win of his career next week, right? They have an excuse now for Edge to lose the match next week because of this injury. So Balor comes off the top, stomps on the chair, and later on, Jimmy Smith said that Edge was taken to a medical facility. I thought we were done with this shit. I thought we were done with the whole medical facility shit. I heard Corey Graves later in the night say hospital. That's what it should be. I thought this was a good angle. To establish the fact that Dominic is now officially a member of the Judgment Day. We weren't sure last night if he was actually part of the group or not. He is a part of the Judgment Day, and they still haven't given away his first heel promo. I still want to hear. I want to hear that first heel promo. I don't know if he's got it in him or not. I need to hear it from him, but we didn't get it tonight. The Miz and Tommaso Ciampa arrived at the arena earlier today. Sarah Schreiber tried to talk to them in the parking lot, wanted to ask about Dexter Lumis, and Miz didn't want to talk about it. He's not even going to mention the guy's name. Instead, he said he's focusing on his cage match tonight with Bobby Lashley. All of a sudden, they look off screen at something, and the camera pans over, and we see a car that has been overturned, and it's smoking, and Miz just looks straight ahead, and they walk into the building. So, they wanted you to think that maybe it had something to do with Dexter Lumis, but what it was a foreshadowing of something or someone that we were about to see here in this next segment. We had a fatal 4-way number 1 contenders match for a future tag team championship match. We had the New Day, the Alpha Academy, Los Lotharios, and the Street Profits. So this makes up probably, 85 to 90% of the tag team division? Who's missing, right? The Usos are the champions. The Viking Raiders were not in this match. What other teams, like real legitimate teams, do they have? Right? Ziggler and Rude, they're not a team anymore. This is the majority of the tag team division here in this company. Now keep that in mind when I talk about what they did here in this match. 3 days ago, I'm watching these guys get introduced. Here comes the New Day, a rare appearance on Raw. And I think to myself, I could have sworn that I was watching SmackDown only a few days ago, and I watched a Viking rules match where the Viking Raiders got a very dominant win over the New Day. They pinned the New Day, they won the match. Which begs the question, why am I watching a number 1 contenders tag team title match with the New Day trying to vie for a title shot when the Viking Raiders aren't even in the fucking match? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Where the hell are the Vikings? Do they not care about the tag team titles? Have they not earned the right to challenge? To try to at least become number one contender for the tag team titles? By the time this segment was over, I was glad that the Viking Raiders were not in this segment, and I realized why they didn't put them in this match. There was a cool spot where Dawkins pounced Kofi Kingston, and he just flew out over the top rope and landed on a bunch of the wrestlers that were outside the ring. In the ring, Gable performed his rolling German suplex on Montez Ford, who landed on his feet. Street Profits hit their toss into a suplex spot on Chad Gable. Otis broke up the pin. Humberto, our boy Humberto, was on Raw tonight. And he went for a moonsault on Montez. He got his feet up, and Humberto bounced up into the arms of Gable, who gave him a German suplex. Otis went to the middle rope. He gave a big splash to Montez Ford. Kingston delivered a double stomp, though, to the back of the back of his back to break up the pinfall attempt. Montez hit a top rope splash on Otis, but Gable was the legal man, and immediately he put the ankle lock on Montez Ford. So Gable has the ankle lock applied when all of a sudden we hear Braun Strowman's theme music. And the crowd comes alive because this was not what they were expecting. Even the people who had read the rumors about Braun coming back, like, this was not the spot in the show where you would have expected him to make an appearance. When we saw the segment before this with the overturned car, I thought they were foreshadowing a return at the very end of the show. They would do some kind of a thing with the cage match. Maybe they would even link him up with Dexter Lumis in some way. I was not expecting him to come out here. So he got that reaction, that kind of holy shit surprise reaction from the crowd. And here comes Braun Strowman, looking slimmer than the last time we saw him. No shirt, wearing red pants. He looked like a fucking jacked up Santa Claus. And he walks down to the ring. He's in great shape. I cannot say the same for these other 4 teams. Strowman took out Chad Gable. He took out Los Lotharios. He knocked Otis off the apron with a shoulder block. Security guards ran in. They were quickly destroyed by Strowman. He powerbombed one of them. Strowman then signaled for his choo-choo train. Oh boy, the Strowman Express is back, everybody. Everybody aboard. The Strowman Express. It was derailed. It was taken out of commission for about a year. But now the repairs have been made. The train is back on the tracks. But unfortunately, we had a little hiccup. Because as he goes outside the ring to begin his choo-choo train, he was going to shoulder block Chad Gable, right? That's what he does. Remember when he used to mow down Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? He'd be running around the ring and just shoulder check them, and they'd take these great big bumps for him. Chad Gable is a small guy. He could have taken this great big bump for Braun Strowman. Well, this was... You know what? I take back what I said about Dexter Lumis. This probably was my favorite part of the show. This was probably the funniest part of the entire show. So he goes outside the ring and he starts charging at Chad Gable. And I don't know what happened, but he slipped. He slipped. He slipped and he fell down. Fall down, go boom. And Chad Gable, God bless Chad Gable, he made it seem like Braun was diving for his knee and he kind of sidestepped him. Chad Gable is great, right? He's so alert. He tried to at least save the spot and make it look good and make Braun look a little less clumsy for it, but he fucking fell. And so he immediately got up and he just continued on his way and he, body checked Otis into the barricade over by the timekeeper's area. So he just kept going. He gave Angelo Dawkins a power slam through the announce desk. They cut to another picture-in-picture break at this point. And during the picture-in-picture, his rampage continued. He was circling the ring outside, just kind of walking around, and the people were cheering for him. He grabbed Chad Gable. He threw Chad Gable into the ring and gave him a power slam in the ring. So Braun Strowman completely laid waste to virtually the entire tag team division here on this show. Are we sure? I took Triple H at his word when he told Ariel Helwani, it's all nonsense, it's all conspiracy theories. Vince McMahon has nothing to do with this product anymore. He's not slipping me notes. He's not sending me text messages. He's not running a shadow government behind the scenes and secretly booking the show. I assure you, Vince has nothing to do with any of this. This is something right out of the Vince McMahon playbook. Are we sure that he wasn't pulling a Bobby Valentine in the back with the mustache and the glasses in disguise? Sneaking into the back door? This is not the first time they've done something like this with Braun. 3 years ago. On Raw, I believe it was. They sent him out to the ring. He destroyed both sets of tag team champions. That was even worse than this. He destroyed the Raw tag team champions, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, and the SmackDown tag team champions, the Revival. Destroyed both of them and then left. So Braun Strowman does not like the tag team division very much. He's made that very clear. As much as CM Punk does not like Hangman Adam Page or Colt Cabana or Colt Cabana's mother or the Young Bucks, Braun Strowman hates the tag team division in WWE. And apparently so does WWE. Because I don't know why the fuck you would do this. Now, Braun Strowman was at his most popular years ago when he was wrecking shit. And he was leaving bodies in his wake. And he was flipping over ambulances and cars and doing these feats of strength. So I don't fault WWE for wanting to kind of go back to that and have him doing the stuff that got him over in the first place. I would do the same thing. But of all the places to insert him into the show and all the people for him to kill, you don't have people in the back that you can have him run through? These are the only people, this is the only time that you can have Braun Strowman come out and cause chaos is in the middle of a number one contenders match for your tag team championship? And here I've been praising what Triple H has been doing with the US title and the Intercontinental title. Tonight, he did not do that with the tag team titles. He actually went the opposite way. Strowman was over with the live crowd. And again, the best way to get him over is to have him go out there and cause chaos. This was not it. This was counterproductive in every way. But you don't do that with four teams who are trying to contend for a shot at the undisputed tag team titles. You don't do that. That's some Vince McMahon shit that I was hoping would be left in the past. We have the new women's tag team champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. They were out for a match with Nikki ASH and Doudrop, who lost to Katana Chance and Caden Carter at Worlds Collide on, yesterday. I don't even know what day of the week it is. The NXT show was yesterday afternoon. Yeah, they were on that show and they lost. They tried to win the NXT tag team titles, the women's tag belts, and they failed. But I saw Raquel come out here in this segment with Aaliyah, and I just thought, what a rib on her, huh? That she sent her out there after the Braun Strowman segment. When did they break up? Somebody told me they broke up 3 or 4 months ago. Anyway, Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai were shown watching on a screen in the back. Jimmy Smith said the Damage Control believes the wrong woman was pinned during the tag team title match last week. That's because the wrong woman was pinned during the tag team title match last week. Rodriguez tried and failed to pick up Doudrop, who came back with a senton, got a 2 count. Aaliyah took out Nikki at ringside, and Raquel caught Doudrop on the top rope and then carried her off the rope, held her up, and slammed her down with the Tejana Bomb and pinned her to win the match. In the back, a little bit later on, there's a backstage segment where Bayley, Dakota, and Io were walking to the ring to come out to the ring for a promo. In the background, you could see Nikki and Doudrop having another argument. We've had segments in recent weeks where it's not acknowledged. It's like a little Easter egg. You see them in the background and they're arguing about something, but we don't know what. So I don't know how many of you picked up on it, but as Bayley and her crew were walking towards the camera to come out to the ring, there's Nikki and Doudrop. They're arguing. Nikki took her mask off, her superhero mask, and she threw it at Doudrop, and she stormed off. So they are doing the slow burn approach to the split between these two women. And for all these name changes and people getting their first names back and stuff, I'm positive that the Dewdrop name is on its last legs. I don't know if she'll be Piper Niven or Viper or what name she's going to go back to. Probably Piper Niven. But I don't think she'll be Dewdrop for much longer. I think they're waiting until the split happens, and then maybe she'll get a makeover, just like some other people have gotten a makeover as well. Backstage, Megan Morant spoke with Rey Mysterio, who was very dejected over what happened earlier in the night with his son. And he said that the Judgment Day is out to ruin his life. They're trying to poison Dominic's mind. They took out Edge. Rey said that nobody deserves to have their asses beat more than the Judgment Day, and he challenged Finn Balor or Damian Priest, didn't matter who, to a singles match later on in the show. Austin Theory was out to the ring with his Money in the Bank briefcase for a promo. Surprised he could speak after he got punched right in the jaw by Tyson Fury at Clash at the Castle. So he was selling the jaw. He kept misspeaking. He said Crown Jewel at one point instead of Clash at the Castle. And he was making... Now, when he made that mistake, he covered for it very well. And I thought, man, that's a great recovery, off the botch. I don't think it was a botch. I think the whole point was he wasn't thinking right. He wasn't talking straight. And it was all because Tyson Fury punched him in the face. So he talked about eventually ending Roman Reigns' long title run to become the undisputed champion. And that brought out Kevin Owens. The MVP of Monday Night Raw, Kevin Owens. He had a great pun about how Theory got KO'd on Saturday. Yeah, it sounds like something that I would say. That's like my Kaiser roll joke with Ludwig Kaiser on the SmackDown review the other night. I was doing the podcast yesterday, and I was talking about Bobby Fish. His contract expired. He's no longer in AEW. And I said, I don't know what his plans are, but Bobby Fish on his own really isn't going to go anywhere. He's not going to really do much. And that first, I don't know, 6 months or whatever it was that he was in AEW, he was basically just floundering. Then I realized the unintentional pun, like I'm full of them. I don't know what it is. I just, I come up with these things. These things just come to me. But he did. Bobby Fish. Fish was floundering. He really was. He was floundering until Kyle O'Reilly finally came into the company. Now Red Dragon isn't even a thing anymore. It makes me very sad. But Kevin Owens called him Theory, and then he remembered, oh, wait a minute, you got your first name back, so I can call you Austin from now on. Owens said that Fury did Theory a favor because Roman Reigns or Drew McIntyre would have put him in the ground, and then he wouldn't even have his Money in the Bank contract anymore. And Theory said that Owens is jealous of him doing things that he could never do. Owens said, look, I've wrestled both these guys before. I've wrestled Roman Reigns. I've wrestled Drew McIntyre. In fact, I wrestled Drew McIntyre on TV only a few weeks ago. And he says that he probably would have beaten McIntyre in their recent Raw match had it not been for the Usos. And he said that 18 months ago, he would have ended Roman Reigns' title run 6 months in had it not been for Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. Owens told Theory that the only reason he has the Money in the Bank briefcase is because he wasn't in the match. And he goes, you know how this is going to end. He said, any minute now, referee is going to come sliding into the ring, and I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to say, let's fight. You and me are going to have a match. And that's exactly what happened. They had a very strong match. It ran through 2 commercial breaks. I should be a dad with those jokes. I've got dad jokes. I've got dad jokes without the kid. So Owens knocked Theory off the top rope, hit a swanton bomb for a near fall. Theory avoided a pop-up power bomb and sent Owens into the ring post, and they brawled around ringside for a bit. Theory sent Owens back first into the ring steps, and the back of Kevin Owens' head smacked the edge of the ring steps. This was sickening. Sickening. When Owens wrestled, who was it that he wrestled? It might have been Ezekiel. They had a match on Raw a few months ago, and I think he got, was it powerbombed? He might have been powerbombed on the steps, not the flat part of the steps, on the edge of the ring steps. I don't know why Kevin Owens is insistent upon taking bumps on the ring steps. Seems like it would shorten his career, but Yeah, this looked nasty. Theory went for a superplex, but Owens countered into a fisherman buster off the middle rope. And then he hit the pop-up power bomb, and he hit the stunner, and he got the clean pin. 1, 2, 3. So the crowd loved Kevin Owens. He has not done anything to become a babyface. This is a situation where the crowd has simply decided that we want to cheer for this man. So Kevin Owens is one of the most over baby faces on Monday Night Raw, and he really is the MVP of the show right now. We had Damage Control out to the ring next. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Bayley was bragging about pinning Bianca Belair at Clash at the Castle, something that has not been done in over 300 days. Io noted that next week they're going to get a tag team title rematch with Aaliyah and Raquel. Dakota pointed out that I wasn't the legal person in the match last week, so we have that match set for next Monday. Bianca made her way to the ring. She challenged Bayley to a match right here and now. And Bayley said that it's Labor Day, so I'm not working. Lucky her. Bianca noted that as long as I have the Raw Women's Championship, you are in control of nothing. And Damage Control jumped out of the ring. Bayley said that when I'm ready, I'm going to win that title one way or the other. Shout out to James. Just subscribe to the channel. You know, we got a lot of new people sub to the chat. We might have them in the chat right now, so I want to say welcome. Because on that AEW stream earlier today, we had a ton of new people drop in. So I want to welcome all of them if you are new to the channel. I hope you enjoy your stay. I wish I had a more exciting episode of Raw to talk to you about, but again, this was a pretty dull episode tonight. Johnny Gargano was interviewed by Sarah Schreiber backstage. He said that Austin Theory may have forgotten what he is capable of, and he's very excited to remind everybody of what Johnny Gargano can do. Theory walked in and interrupted his promo and said that all Gargano has done is talk since he returned. He should call himself Johnny Talking. See, that's a bad dad joke. That's just a bad joke. Gargano said, you know, you're right, but before you interrupted me, I was about to announce that I'm going to be back in action next week. So he did announce that next Monday is going to be his first match in 9 months. He has not wrestled a match since that whatever that last match was he had in NXT. That was the last time that we saw Johnny Gargano in the ring. So he is going to be back in action on Raw next Monday. Shout out to the Portland pop star. There he is. There he is with the Solomonster custom title Super Chat. Look at this. I cut a better promo than half this fucking roster. Paul Hamilton just dropped a $150 bomb here on the stream. You know, Paul is going to Raw next Monday. Raw is going to be in Portland next week. And he's going to be at the show. He says, with the new changes, I'm looking forward to Raw here in Portland next Monday. Hopefully, increased viewership will get more eyes on the Solomonster sign. Yes, he is going to be bringing a sign to the show next week. So keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled because and usually he's able to get it on camera. So you might see a Solomonster sign. We might have some representation on Monday Night Raw next week. Unless they take his sign away from him. But Paul, holy shit, man. $150 bomb. That's how you end a holiday weekend. That is how you end a holiday weekend. Bombs away. Bombs away indeed. I gotta get like a animation where there's bombs. I just push a button, and every time there's like a big bomb like that, I just push it and bombs just start dropping all over the screen. I gotta look into that. Rey Mysterio one-on-one with Damian Priest. Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic made their way to the ring midway through the match. Priest avoided a 619, and he took off Mysterio's head with a kick. He went for the Razor's Edge. Rey reversed out of it, though, and he sent Priest onto the second rope, the middle rope, in position for the 619. As Rey came off the ropes to go for the finish, Dominic jumped up on the apron. And Rey stopped in his tracks. Balor jumped up on the apron. Rey knocked him off. Rhea slid halfway into the ring and was smiling just to get Rey's attention. And that little distraction is what cost him in the end, because when he turned around, He got destroyed. He got wrecked by a lariat from Damian Priest. And South of Heaven chokeslam followed, and Priest pinned Mysterio for the win. So in the ring after the match, Judgment Day stood over Ray's body, and Ripley, the real leader of this group, she did the talking. She said that there's one man left standing in their way. And she said Dominic would send that man back into retirement because what Poppy wants, Poppy gets. Now, was she implying that she is his Poppy and that Dominic is doing this for her? Or was that a reference to Dominic being Poppy? I took that to mean that she is his Poppy. And he will do her bidding. Whatever she wants him to do, he will do. Because again, she has him wrapped around her finger. So I think the story here is that Rhea Ripley is Dominic's Poppy. It's not Eddie Guerrero. It's not Rey Mysterio. It's Rhea Ripley. And next week, she said that Dominic would take on Edge one-on-one, which was later made official. They tracked down Braun Strowman in the back as he was leaving, and he was toweling off his head. And he said, look, I'll explain everything. The monster of all monsters is back, and he said that he's going to be on SmackDown this Friday. Oh, I can't wait for that. I can't wait. Maybe he will. Maybe he will destroy the Vikings after all. Maybe he'll destroy... Let's see. Who can Braun Strowman destroy this week on TV? See, now, if he destroys Baron Corbin, that's fine. Who cares about that? But who else could he destroy? What other tag teams are left for him to go after? Or is he going to come out and confront the Bloodline? Is Braun Strowman going to come out and confront Roman Reigns, right? They have a history together. Roman is his greatest rival. He might be looking to start something up with Roman Reigns. I don't think so. Roman is not scheduled, by the way, to be at the next pay-per-view. He is not scheduled for Extreme Rules next month, so I don't get the sense we're going to be seeing too much of Roman Reigns between now and Survivor Series. We had a recap of the match at Clash at the Castle between Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins. Yeah, poor EC3. Oh, by the way, I saw EC3 put a statement out, like a press release, from Control Your Narrative about Braun Strowman going back to WWE, basically wishing him well, saying that, you know, he's got unfinished business over in World Wrestling Entertainment, and we wish him all the best. Who's left, by the way, and who is controlling their narrative at this point? Is it just EC3? Is it EC3 and Austin Aries? Is that it? I don't know. I feel like they don't have anybody left. Control Your Narrative in shambles. At least they have something in common with AEW. Yes. Yes, that announcement that you saw, that was I wish I would have pulled it. That was from EC3. Like they're some kind of big corporation. We have to put a formal announcement out about Braun Strowman leaving. Well, EC3, I guess, will have to control his narrative by himself. Poor guy. So they had highlights from after the Riddle and Rollins match from Saturday. Riddle was interviewed in the locker room, and he said that he let his emotions get the best of him. Seth took full advantage and stomped him. He actually had a knot right above his eye, like a big lump. He said one thing he can say for sure is that he wants another match, and he wants it as soon as possible. And he is going to get it. Of course, he'll end up getting it at Extreme Rules. But when they tracked down Seth Rollins and told him that Riddle wanted a rematch, he said that he admires the kid's guts. He admires his moxie. By the way, all the serious stuff from last week was completely gone this week. Rollins in this segment was doing his whole over-the-top shtick. And it was almost like last week never even happened. I mean, they showed a replay of it, of the split screen from last week. But you see Rollins here in this segment. It's like last week didn't even happen. But he said there is not going to be a rematch. He's on to bigger and better things. Then we had the main event. Bobby Lashley against The Miz for the United States Championship inside of a steel cage, which exists solely to keep Dexter Lumis out of the ring. We all know how well the stipulation always works, right? Of course, if there's a cage around the ring, absolutely nobody can interfere. Nobody can get involved. Miz hit Lashley with Lashley's U.S. title before the bell even rang. Ciampa reached in, he grabbed Lashley and pulled him out the cage door, and they both beat him down outside the cage. Miz rammed the ring steps into Lashley's left arm, heading into the commercial. During the commercial, Ciampa took a steel chair to that same arm. So when we came back from commercial, they were back in the ring, and Lashley was wrestling as a one-arm man. He made a comeback, though. He was throwing Miz around. Like, he was selling the arm for a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden, he just forgot to sell the arm. And now he's giving Miz overhead throws, and he looks none the worse for wear. So he's back in control. Lashley went to go climb out. And shout out to, I missed who that was. Was that Electric? Got a new sub. Welcome. Lashley went to go climb out. Ciampa, though, started smashing a steel chair against the side of the cage. So Lashley climbed back inside. He climbed back down. Turned around right into a running knee strike from Miz. And we went to our final commercial break of the match. Came back. We had a spot where Lashley hit a superplex. Lashley tried for a spear, but Miz sidestepped him, and Lashley went headfirst into the steel. And Miz then hit the skull-crushing finale for a very close near fall. Miz tried climbing out the cage door. Lashley, though, pulled him back in. Lashley tried to exit through the door himself, but Ciampa, he grabbed the door, and they were going to do the spot where the guy outside the ring tries to slam the cage door into the person's head. But Lashley had it scouted. And when Ciampa tried that, Lashley grabbed the door and stopped it, and he ended up ramming the door into Ciampa's face. But then Miz came over from behind. He reached over, he grabbed the door, and he pulled it in right into Lashley's skull. He probably pulled it in and hit the fucking guy in the head with it about 6 times. And Lashley is just hanging. His body is hanging on the second rope. He's just dead to the world. If this was AEW, we'd have fucking a pool of blood all over the place here. There wasn't any blood at all. This guy just had a cage door rammed into his head 6 times, no blood. Maybe WWE should share their secret with AEW. How come the skin is so much thicker in this company than it is in AEW? There's got to be some scientific or medical explanation for this. So Miz tried to climb over the top, right? He had the match won. This guy was out cold. He had him dead to rights. Miz is going to climb out over the top of the cage, and he looks down, and he finds what I showed you guys earlier. This is what he sees. Not the mangled face of the Ultimate Warrior there in that super chat, but he sees Dexter Lumis halfway sticking out from underneath the ring. Miz is completely freaked out by this sight, and he climbs back into the cage. So Lumis is now standing outside the cage, staring at Miz, who is on the inside. Miz turns around into a spear from Lashley, and Lashley pins the Miz to retain the United States Championship. After the match was over, Lumis climbed into the cage. Miz tried to crawl out the door. Lashley, though, shut the door. And Lumis grabbed Miz with a head and neck choke, same move that he used in NXT. And he put the Miz to sleep. And we went off the air with Dexter Lumis patting the Miz on the head as the show came to a close. And that was Monday Night Raw. Now, next Monday, it's Dakota Kai and Io Sky against Raquel and Aaliyah for the women's tag team titles. Edge takes on Dominic Mysterio, and Johnny Gargano will wrestle his first match in 9 months. Again, I thought a pretty dull episode that had some fun moments, but a pretty dull episode of Monday Night Raw. I just thought I was pretty bored as the show went on. I was pretty fucking bored with this show tonight. But it wasn't terrible. Let's check out the Twitter poll here. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Not as strong as what Raw has gotten in recent weeks. Barely above the 50% mark. 52% thumbs up, 35% thumbs in the middle, 12.6% thumbs down. Go to @Solomonster. @Solomonster. You should be following me on there anyway. But go vote in the poll. Hey, first timer, look at this. Look at the $1 Million Man. Drop $2 here. I was right, he says, when I said that AEW needs to cut 30+ people. Well, speaking of AEW, I did say that I have more news for you. And I am a man of my word. Before we get into all your super chats, and get them on in, by the way, because I'm going to be reading them here in a bit, and I'm going to get the hell out of here. It's been a long weekend. Long weekend. Where are we at, by the way, on the likes? I don't know if we're going to be doing Be the Booker tonight or not. Well, we still have a ways to go. We still a little over 100. Hit that thumbs up button. We got to get to at least 500 likes. I want to see at least 500 to do Be the Booker a little bit later. So I got some more AEW news. I spent over an hour talking about the media scrum, giving my thoughts and some details on some of the events coming out of it and everything. So if you want to check that out, I would say when you're done here, if you missed it, go back and watch it. I want to thank everybody for the feedback on that. I think we pretty much, hit the nail on the head with how things are playing out, how they appear, who's in the wrong. There's nobody in this situation who comes out looking good. And there's blame to go around for everybody, from CM Punk to the Bucks to Tony Khan. Hangman Page, the Bucks. I mean, again, they all share in the blame here with what's going on. But there was a fight. I did mention that there was a physical altercation, and now we actually have some more details about that. According to multiple sources, with some of Fightful's reporting, and this is also from The Observer, there was a fight backstage after the media scrum in Chicago last night with CM Punk allegedly starting things by swinging fists at the Young Bucks' Matt Jackson. Punk's trainer and one of his best friends, Ace Steel, who we saw him on television last week trying to psych up Punk right on TV. He dropped that F-bomb by accident. Supposedly, Ace Steel threw a chair that hit Nick Jackson in the face, hit him in the eye, to be specific. And this is the part that gets me. Ace Steel allegedly bit Kenny Omega. Let me repeat. Ace Steel threw a chair that hit Nick Jackson in the eye, and he bit Kenny Omega and pulled his hair before things were then finally broken up. I'm trying to visualize this. It kind of reminds me, if you think back to the Montreal Screwjob and what happened in the back, as the story goes, when Vince McMahon went to go confront Bret Hart in his locker room, and Bret didn't want to have anything to do with him. He didn't want to talk to him. He didn't want to even look at him. He was going to go take a shower. He said, when I get out of the shower, if you're still here, I'm going to knock you out. And when Bret came out of the shower, Vince McMahon was still there. And there's Bret Hart fucking standing there naked or almost naked. And he walks over and he punches Vince McMahon right in the face. Lifts him up off the ground. And this whole fracas broke out. Shane McMahon was there and he tried to get involved, and the British Bulldog tried to get involved, and the Bulldog tweaked his knee because he had his knee brace off. He had taken it off already. It's a fucking mess. Someone stepped on Vince's ankle and almost broke his ankle, I think, as the story goes. So, that's a famous or infamous story. So I'm trying to picture this, where they confront Punk. I believe it was in his locker room. And then Punk just starts throwing fists, and here comes a chair, and now Ace Steel is biting people like he's a fucking vampire, or fucking Mike Tyson in 1997 with Evander Holyfield. What a fucking mess. So we have more details. We have even more details than that. Per PW Insider, after CM Punk finished venting at the media scrum, he returned to his locker room where there was an altercation. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks went to Punk's locker room and they confronted him about the comments that he made at the media scrum. There was a physical altercation with Punk and Matt and Nick Jackson specifically. No one sharing stories is quite sure who threw the first punch. So again, according to one story, it was Punk who threw the first punch, but according to PW Insider, nobody knows for sure exactly who threw the first punch. Kenny Omega was there, but he did not get into a physical scuffle with Punk. Ace Steel arrived, and he did get involved because his wife was in the vicinity of the incident, possibly even in the locker room, because she apparently may have been the one who was watching Punk's dog Larry. They were in Chicago, So CM Punk had his dog Larry with him. In fact, I think before the show started, Larry got loose and he started running down the aisle. And even on the pay-per-view, they showed Punk outside the building walking his dog. So I guess Ace Steel's wife was watching Larry. I wonder if Larry got involved in the fight. Maybe Ace Steel was trying to do his best Larry impersonation by biting Kenny Omega. Can you picture this? Picture this. Let's try to get a visual image of what's going on here. CM Punk throws a punch at the Young Bucks, right? Maybe they start fighting back. Here comes Ace Steel. Kenny Omega's not fighting with Punk, but for whatever reason, Ace Steel decides to bite the fucking guy. Here comes Larry the dog. He starts biting Matt Jackson on the ankle. I mean, this is ludicrous. And the entire time, and this is also according here to PW Insider, Tony Khan had no idea what was going on. All of this was happening as Tony Khan was sitting at the media scrum with the other people who came out, and he was talking about WWE, and all of that is going on, and Tony Khan has no idea that his company is falling apart right now backstage. A number of AEW staff and security hit the scene to break up the fight and separate the Punk side from the Elite side. Once they were separated, they continued to argue for some time. Before the Bucks and Omega exited the area of Punk's locker room, there was a lot of shouting from each side. And at least one of the Young Bucks returned to the hotel late last night sporting a black eye. I believe the story is that it was Nick Jackson, which would make sense. If he got hit in the face with a fucking chair, then Nick Jackson probably was the one who had a black eye. And I think somebody said there was no new episode of BTE today. Maybe that had something to do with it. So, like I said earlier, what a mess. What a mess. What an absolute embarrassment. It's just an embarrassment. What should have been a positive weekend for AEW with a new world champion crowned and the return of MJF is completely overshadowed by bullshit that has nothing to do with the show. I don't believe it's a work. Certainly the Colt Cabana stuff is not a work. But I don't believe this is a work. Not every fucking thing in wrestling is a work. This is just, it's pathetic. Really, 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 really sad. And Tony Khan needs to do something about this. You can't suspend Eddie Kingston for 2 weeks for nearly pie-facing Sammy Guevara and not do anything to at least some of these people. Whoever threw the first punch, Ace Steel, if these reports are true, Ace Steel's got to go. He's got to go. I don't even know what his exact title is with AEW, if it's producer, if he's some kind of VP. I have no idea what his exact title is. If he went and bit Kenny Omega, who's a fucking EVP in the company, and he got involved where, honestly, it was none of his business, and he got physical with these guys, then he's got to go. But Tony Khan has to do something here because this is, out of control. And I went into more details, had a lot more to say about some of the specific parties involved here. Again, go check out that stream from earlier this afternoon because we covered it all. What a mess. What an absolute mess. All right, let's check out your super chats. Yeah, I don't know how Ace Steel survives this. I mean, who the hell is he? I mean, CM Punk and the Bucks. Tony Khan is going to do what he has to do to protect his top talent, I'm sure. But someone like Ace Steel, pulling shit like this, he's got to go. If the stories are true, if they're accurate, then he's done. He's got to go. Winter's Paw with the $2 super chat says, well, my Orioles have fallen apart, so for now, let's go Mets. Welcome. Hop on the bandwagon. We have room for you. Shin Akuma, thank you for the $5 super chat. Winter's Paw says, there hasn't been many reasons to smile for me these last few days, but your videos always make me laugh. So thank you for getting me through tough times. Well, I hope whatever it is that is plaguing you is not too serious. And hopefully that these streams were able to take your mind off it for a little bit. We're getting very close, by the way. I think we're less than 50 likes away from 500. So we're getting close. We're getting close, guys. Justin Logue, $5 super chat. So Dominic Mysterio is apparently submissive to Rhea. Does that make Rhea a dominatrix? Is it more Dom Vader and Empress Ripley? Okay, well that last part kind of ruined the joke. You should have ended it at dominatrix. See, that would have been a great super chat. But you got greedy, and you kept going. But thank you, Justin. French Fry Slut with the $5 super chat. This is what daddy issues do to you. Turn you into a submissive goth. I know from experience. I'm sorry. See what you need? You need a dominant. You need somebody who can be subservient to you. Liquid Sharingan done with AEW. Too much drama in the locker room. What are you, in the locker room? If you're not in the locker room, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. Unless it starts to spill over onto the TV show. We got Aussie of Steel. Aussie of Steel says, I thought this was a good show overall. Braun being back is great, plus the KO Theory match was solid. The KO Theory match was very good. Epsilon Sama, how many stars for CM Punk Ace Steel versus the Elite? Bobby's World 2110. Everyone is talking about Braun's return. Really? Everyone's talking about Braun? I don't think everyone is talking about Braun's return. I'm way more excited that Ciampa got his first name back. See, that is a reason to be excited. Tripod, Solo burning the midnight oil, still catching up on the Scrum stream. Take care and make sure to drink your tea before it turns stone cold. I will do that. We've got King Bling Blah. Why do I feel like a Rhea and Dom wedding is coming? A black wedding? It could be getting a black wedding. I don't know how Buddy Murphy feels about that. King Bling Blah, buy or sell Braun and Omos as a tag team. What's the point? He just destroyed the tag team division by himself. What the fuck does he need Omos for? There's no point. Justin says, pair Dexter Lumis and Bray Wyatt. Yes or no? No, I don't think he needs it. I think they can do their own thing. Paul Hamilton with that $150 bomb from earlier. My God. My God. Well, we'll be here live next Monday talking about Raw. Maybe we'll have a screenshot of the Solomonster sign. We'll see. Zombified Guitarist says, yeah, it's coming now. That's the super chat. Yeah, it's coming now. Is that what Dominic said to Rhea? Bernard Frederick with the $10 super chat. To dethrone Roman Reigns, I think it would take an outsider who is a dominant figure, because Roman has been a dominant champion. This would give this story shock value, and if done right, no one will see it coming. I mean, unless you consider Cody Rhodes to be an outsider, the answer is no. I don't like that idea at all. It's got to be somebody who is an active part of the WWE roster. You put over one of your own guys. Cody is fine. Cody's been back. I mean, he's been gone because of the injury, but you don't go with a brand new person from the outside. You either build up somebody for that spot, you wait until Cody comes back, you go with somebody like that. You don't bring in somebody from the outside who's not even in the company right now. What sense does that make? And who would that person even be? Who would that person even be? Boots, Dominic is Rhea's Miho, and she is his Poppy. Justin says, a prophecy, Roman Reigns will not lose his championship to no man of woman born. Aussie of Steel, Lashley versus Walter at Survivor Series would be pretty sweet. Yeah, not as sweet as Sheamus and Walter, but I dig that match. I'd be okay with that. We're only 10 likes away. I'm being told we are 10 likes away from 500. Tyler, keep doing a great job. You are the GOAT. Solomonster. Thank you, Tyler. Rizzo. What lasted longer, CYN or Global Force Wrestling? I think Global Force did, actually. At least they got exposure on Impact TV. First timer, I was right when I said AEW needs to cut 30 plus people. Okay, we read that one earlier. First timer says Dark Side of the Ring, Ace Steel goes full Pac-Man. Let me tell you something. They're going to have a whole Dark Side of the Ring episode on that scrum from yesterday. I could just picture it now. Season 4, Dark Side of the Ring. The all-out 2022 scrum. They have to go find Colt Cabana and Marsha Colton, Mama Cabana. They can interview her for the piece. Rizzo, there's a video I saw that had Jericho leaving a presser, and he tells Tony Khan, we need to talk, some shit went down. Timing is interesting. Also agree that Steele needs to be fired. I saw that part when Jericho finished his part of the press conference. He did whisper something to Tony Khan. I couldn't hear what it was. So did somebody like amplify the audio? And is there a better version that I could listen to? Because I couldn't hear shit. I heard him mumble something. I tried to read lips. I had no idea what he said. Is that what he said? We've got James Auburn, Ace Steele's real name, Chris Guy. So from the most generic male name imaginable to a gay porn name. Brumakian Productions, beer money for Mr. Solomonster. Thank you very much. Well, that $2 will be for the tip I give to the bartender. I don't think here in New York, you want to get a good stiff drink. You're not gonna get shit for $2. You could add a 0 to that. Elbrus Cat, buy or sell HBK versus Bret Hart or CM Punk against the Young Bucks Brawl Edition. I'll go with Bret and Shawn. I'll tell you what, both in their prime, like current Punk and Bucks and Bret and Shawn from '97, in like a real fight, my money's on Bret and Shawn all the way, all the way. Do not pass go, buy or sell, better biter, Ace Steel or Haku. You should put Shayna Baszler on that list. Remember when Shayna debuted on the main roster? She bit Becky Lynch on the neck. Vince McMahon tried to turn her into a fucking vampire. Dan Teller with the $9.99. Thank you, sir. David Hart. I'm no big business owner, but I would fire Ace Steel, get the title off Punk at Arthur Ashe, suspend him for a month, and have another meeting making it very clear that this will not be tolerated. Yeah, Tony Khan has got to bring the hammer down on a whole bunch of people. He has to show that there is no double standard here, even though there, look, there's always going to be double standards when it comes to top names and top talent. Eddie Kingston is not a top name on the roster. CM Punk is. Is he going to get preferential treatment? Yes, he probably is. It's up to Tony Khan to show people that that's not the case. That's not how he does things in this company. Will he do it? Will he have the guts to do it? GCC 305. Nobody, absolutely nobody, asked for a Strowman return. Here's $5, Solomonster. Thank you for your reviews, helping me as I work overnights. Thank you. Yeah, the people bringing up the Marines story with Shawn Michaels from '95. WWE said it was 9 or 10 Marines. It was 1. I know that's the story WWE told. It was 1. It was one person. Shawn was being a dick. I think he might have been hitting on the guy's girlfriend or something to that effect. And it was 1. It was 1 Marine. Slim Yoshi, I hope Jim Ross isn't having plane ride from hell PTSD from the mess happening at AEW. Judging from what he tweeted earlier tonight, he was at Morton's Steakhouse, I think, having dinner, and he had a drink. I don't think JR gives a shit. I think JR he's collecting that paycheck, and he's trying to live the life. He walks out there on TV every week. He doesn't even put the suit on anymore. He just walks out there. He's got, his shirt on, the short sleeves. He calls his hour or two, like the pay-per-view. He came in midway through the pay-per-view. And then he hits the bar and has a drink to finish off his night. I don't think Jim Ross cares. And Darth Panic, should Tony Khan cancel media scrums going forward? No, I like the idea of doing them. I think he should keep them. I just think he has to do a better job of controlling his fucking roster. You don't have to cancel the media scrums. That's like, you're treating the symptom instead of treating the problem. Treat the problem, you won't have the symptoms. What does that accomplish by canceling media scrums? Does that mean that everybody is going to like each other and everything's going to be all hunky-dory in this company? You don't cancel the media scrums, you lay down the fucking law. You go to the root of the problem and you attack it and you take care of the problem. Then you won't have these issues at your media scrums in the future. See? Problem solved. EJ Slemp, that would not have happened last night if the Briscoes were there. I don't know. If the Briscoes were where? In the back or at the actual scrum where they have told CM Punk to shut his mouth? If it was in the back, I'm sure the Briscoes would have no issue throwing down. Rizzo with the $10 super chat. I just sent you the clip on Twitter of Jericho saying that to Khan. The "we need to talk" is hard to hear, but the "some shit went down" is pretty audible. Okay. Yeah, it was very clear. He was telling him something. Something happened, but I couldn't really pick up on what it was. So, I mean, it's pretty much confirmed. I mean, there was a fucking fight. Last night it was questionable. I thought people maybe were making stuff up. It's pretty clear there was a fight. There was some kind of an altercation, and it's just ridiculous. The whole thing is just ridiculous. Bunch of fucking children. Bunch of fucking children. All right, I think we accomplished the goal here. And we did. So I want to thank everybody for getting me above the 500 like threshold. Hit that thumbs up anyway if you haven't. But as promised, let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Lakers Pat says, how dangerous is the WWE parking lot compared to the, what was it? What did he say? The AEW backstage. Now, the NXT parking lot is still the most dangerous place in all of wrestling. But the AEW locker room is catching up. Hey, I'll tell you what, let's see. I agree, Do Not Pass Go. Let's see if we can book a better backstage fight. What we're booking tonight, we're going to book backstage brawls. We're going to do one for the men, the women, and the tag teams. We're going to book backstage brawls. Let's see if we can do a better job of it than AEW did. Let's start with the women this time. Usually we start with the guys. We'll start with the women this time. Backstage brawl. We begin with Jazz. Jazz is nobody to mess with. I wouldn't want to be up against Jazz in a backstage fight. It'd be Jazz, former WWE Women's Champion, going one-on-one with Nikki Cross. Notice I said Nikki Cross, not Nikki Ash. Not the wannabe superhero. Nikki Cross and Jazz in a backstage brawl. Probably a better brawl than Punk and the Young Bucks. Over on the men's side, we begin with Bret the Hitman Hart. He's been in a backstage brawl or two in his day. Took a whole hunk of Shawn Michaels' hair right out of his fucking head. See who Bret Hart is going to be brawling with here. Bret Hart one-on-one in the locker room with Pat McAfee. You know what? I don't know. As far as a brawler, I don't know about his brawling skills. Pat can go in the ring. I'm sure Pat could go in the back too. Pat McAfee and Bret Hart. I got to give them the bell. Pat McAfee and Bret the Hitman Hart. And now let's do some tag teams. Hey, you know what? I hadn't even really thought about that, but Bret Hart in the ring against Pat McAfee. Because Pat can hold his own. That'd be a great match. See tag teams here. We have, look at this, the Mega Maniacs, Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Why is Brutus making that face? Hey, Ronald Baker, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the sub. Why is Brutus making that face? He looks like he, what is that face? It's like he stubbed his toe or something, bit his tongue maybe? I don't know. Hogan and Beefcake. Going to be stepping into the backstage brawling area with Ric Flair and Rowdy Roddy Piper. Man, 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. 3 legends. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and Roddy Piper in a backstage brawl. Brutus is in the corner cutting people's hair. I think that's a clean sweep. That's a clean sweep, guys. All 3. All 3 winners tonight. We did good. That's a good addition to Be the Booker. That might be our best. Three for 3. Kevin Murillo with the $5 super chat. Ace needs to be fired. Yeah, I agree. He should be this. That's the second ace in wrestling that needs to go this year. And he says that the Elite cannot be EVPs moving forward. Everybody acted childishly. Uffman Entertainment. Just saw the clip of Jericho and Tony. Put my volume all the way up, and you can indeed hear Jericho say some shit went down. Bernard Frederick with the $10 super chat. Sorry, Solomonster, but Roman has beaten everyone and has beaten Brock Lesnar multiple times. It really doesn't make sense for Cody to beat Roman if Brock couldn't do it countless times. Sure it can. It's wrestling. It's pro wrestling. It is what you make of it. You never heard of the underdog finding a way to win? Cody built up a lot of brownie points with people going into a Hell in a Cell match in June with a torn pec and winning. If Cody can go into a Hell in a Cell match with half his body fucking purple and win, then I think he has a shot against Roman Reigns. So I disagree with you on that. And I think that there will not be very many people who cannot buy into the idea of Cody Rhodes winning the championship. And it fits the story. It's a great story to tell. I hope they tell that story. Yeah, I mean, Bobby's world says you can make it work with Cody. Of course you can. It's not going to be that hard. Believe me, it's not going to be that hard. It's a great story to tell. Story is right there for them to tell, whether it's Cody and Roman or Cody and Seth, if they get the belts off Roman or one of them off Roman before the WrestleMania. Either one. Could be Roman, could be Seth. Either one of those stories works. Now watch them turn around. They'll make it Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman will be your next undisputed champion. See, that's something Vince McMahon would do. I'd like to think Triple H is a little bit smarter than that. Did I see the Kevin Owens tweet? What was it? The photo of him with Stone Cold in the ring? Yeah, well, I don't think that he's never been a very big fan of CM Punk. Goes back to the Ring of Honor days. I don't think Kevin Owens has ever been a big Punk guy. But he is very good friends with the Young Bucks. So you know whose side of that fight he's going to take. Boy, how do you think Kevin Owens feels? Remember this time almost a year ago, Kevin Owens' contract was coming up, and there was a lot of question about whether or not he was going to stay or leave, and maybe he'll go to AEW, and his friends are there, the Elite is there. They can reunite Mount Rushmore, right? Adam Cole is there. You get the band back together. Kevin Owens made the best decision of his fucking life, staying in WWE. Look at the year Look at just the things he's done this year so far, right? I mean, it's not even that he's done so many different things, but he headlined the first night of WrestleMania. He got the main event of WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin. He got the final match out of Steve Austin that so many people, CM Punk being one of them, hoped to get and tried to get for years. If Kevin Owens does nothing for the rest of his career, he can rest on that. But now he's become the MVP of Raw. I'm sure they're building to the story of him and Sami Zayn reuniting and going after the tag title. So all of this is happening for Kevin Owens. Triple H takes over. Triple H has always been a big Kevin Owens guy. And all of this stuff is going on in AEW. And Kevin Owens just has to be looking at this going, boy, did I dodge a bullet. Boy, did I make the right call. Maze the Great, think Undertaker was right. Wrestling has gone soft. Wrestling has gone soft in what way? I don't know what you're referring to. Wrestling's gone soft. Are we talking about people having lame fights in the back? Or are we talking about, or should CM Punk just be able to go out there and just basically bury everybody? Let me tell you something. I'm gonna let you in a little secret. If this shit was going on back then, 25 years ago, when The Undertaker was the locker room leader and you had wrestling court and all this other bullshit that they did behind the scenes, those guys, I know they portrayed themselves as really, super tough guys, right? BSK and all this other stuff, and that's cool and all. But let me tell you something. The thing with a lot of these wrestlers and these, especially the big ones, like the big names, obviously they have big egos and they think very highly of themselves, but they're also very sensitive people. And I guarantee you that if you had post-show press scrums 25 years ago after the WWF pay-per-views, and you had somebody on that roster, Shawn Michaels back at the height of him being an absolute dick, when he was hopped up on every fucking pill imaginable, walked out there and started mouthing off about The Undertaker and started mouthing off about, different people on the roster and all of this stuff. I mean, again, it would be the same situation where you would have a lot of people who would be crying and complaining. And back then, I'm sure Undertaker would be hunting him down in the back also, but feelings would get hurt. And believe me, wrestling has changed a lot, but in other ways, it hasn't really changed all that much. If you had social media back then, the slightest comment would probably set people off and would get them very offended. We just didn't have any of that back then. There was no social media. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter. There were no post-show scrums with the media. People would make comments and leak quotes and stuff to the dirt sheets, and that's about the only thing, right? Otherwise, you were on the road and you went from city to city, you went from town to town, you worked your shots, you went to the bar, you hung out with your friends, you had groupies and rats or whatever they were calling them and all that stuff back in the day. But if you had social media the way you did now and people, were bullying you or insulting you and calling, wrestlers names and stuff, please. They would react just like a lot of wrestlers do today. And they would make themselves look foolish. And these same people that are saying, oh, wrestlers these days are so soft, you'd be saying the same things about a lot of the people you grew up watching because they have fragile egos too. And they're also very, very self-conscious. They also care about what people say about them. They're very cognizant of that kind of stuff. It didn't exist back then. So they didn't have to worry about any of that. It's really not all that different. I know people like to think things are so much different now. Please. It's really not as different as you think. Thunder Knight, how to fix the chaos in AEW. Sounds like a job for Peacemaker. I think they're filming season 2 right now, as a matter of fact. Season 2 of Peacemaker. Imagine a media scrum after Survivor Series 97. It's hard to believe. It's 25 years. We'll probably do a watch-along in November for that as well. And, for the watch-alongs, again, for those who don't know, I think the format we're going to follow going forward, because it got a great reaction, the last one, the Wembley one that we did last week. The watch-alongs. We have another one planned for next month. First Hell in a Cell's coming up. The anniversary, 25 years. First Hell in a Cell. Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, and the debut of Kane. So probably on October 5th, we're going to do another watch-along. We'll open it up to everybody, but the chat will be members only. You have to be a channel member. That's really where we have the most fun, interacting in the chat during the watch-alongs. So I think that'll be the format going forward. Open it up to everybody, but the chat will be members only for the watch-alongs. And yeah, I think a press scrum after the Survivor Series in Montreal, that would have been very interesting. That would have been very memorable. EJ Slemp, didn't they have a press conference after WrestleMania 14 that Shawn Michaels barged in on and kicked the door when Austin was talking? I remember, yeah. Well, that's because Mike Tyson was there, so they had a lot of press people there. So they did. They had a press conference. They have had press conferences occasionally for WrestleMania. They did when I went to WrestleMania 28 in Miami. That was the first one I ever went to. They had a pre-show press conference. I don't know about post-show, but they had a pre-show press conference. I know because I was in the pre-show press conference. I was in the press conference. I was asking questions. I thought most of the questions that the actual reporters there were asking were pretty lame and shitty. So I had a whole bunch of questions, and I was raising my hand and fucking, talking to Sheamus and John Cena and The Rock, and people are looking at me like, who the fuck is this guy? They do that occasionally. They do occasionally have press conferences. A lot of it has to do, though, with whether or not they have celebrities there. Like when I was in the pre-show press conference in Miami, they had Machine Gun Kelly. They brought in Machine Gun Kelly, and he answered questions for a while, and a lot of it depends on what big names they have there. Hydrograd 57 with the $10 super chat. Hydrograd, what's going on? With Braun returning, do you see EC3 uncontrolling his narrative back to WWE? I would say that I would like to see him return since he got screwed during his last run. However, I much prefer his top 1% character. Yeah, I mean, he was much better as Ethan Carter the third. But no, I don't see him coming back. Drew McIncock, Poppy Solo, here's more cash. Thank you, Drew. And not Robert, what would you personally do about the Punk Steel and EVP issues? Man, it's almost like I did a whole stream about this earlier today. I would advise you to go back and watch the full stream, but to give you the Cliff Notes version, if these reports about Ace Steel getting involved and biting people is accurate, then he's got to go. He's got to be gone. And depending on what they find as far as who instigated the fight, you have to dole out at least fines and suspensions. Tony Khan has to work out who did what, and then he has to punish them. And it's tough, too, because Punk just won the world title. The Bucks just won the trios titles with Omega. So do you strip them when they just won them? You could. You want to make a statement? Yeah. It wouldn't be ideal. He just had a tournament. Now you're going to strip them? This is what I mean. It puts him in a very uncomfortable, very difficult position. It's very unfair to him. But part of it is his own fault for letting it get to this point. So he's got some decisions to make, but he's going to have to do something. He can't just let this slide without punishing some of these guys. I don't care how big of a star they are. Kevin in the chat, I'm not saying Punk wouldn't have gotten his ass. That's not exactly what I was saying. I was just saying, I was referring more to this idea that people say the wrestlers now are all soft, or they're so much softer, and you wouldn't have seen guys reacting to, insults and stuff in the way that they did back then. Like, they would just ignore it. I'm telling you, I don't believe that to be true. As far as Punk getting his ass kicked, yeah, of course. Punk would have gotten ambushed in the fucking parking lot or something, and he would have had his ass beaten down. I'm not denying that. El Prez Cat feels sorry for MJF. His return got trumped by drama. He got Wardlowed. He got Wardlowed. He got a little taste of his own medicine for what he did to Wardlow a few months ago. Don't feel bad for MJF. He did the same to... Exactly. That's what I just said. He did the same to Wardlow. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. I think I've gotten through all of your messages. And you guys have come out this weekend in full force. Holy shit. Holy shit. This has been a very fun weekend. We really... we picked up a lot of new members, a lot of new subs. We had over 4,000 people this afternoon at one point, or around 4,000 people in the live chat watching the midday stream, which is insane. But it just goes to show you that people are they're following all the events that are going on in AEW. It's just it's unfortunate for AEW that it's an embarrassing situation. The Dynamite stream on Wednesday should be very interesting. We'll probably have more information by then, especially if there are any punishments that are doled out. I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Khan called another all-staff meeting before the show on Wednesday. So we'll cover that Wednesday night. I'll have all the latest news for you there. Go back and check out the streams, all the streams from today, from the weekend. It's all there for you here on the YouTube channel. Hit that like button on your way out because it does help the videos out a great deal. And I'm going to be back live again on Wednesday night. I get a reprieve for one day. And then we're back at it again Wednesday night for Dynamite. So until then, be well, stay safe. Shout out to the pro wrestling fan, Iowan corn farmer, Jesse Lampier. In the chat, Coco and Cinnamon wants to know how to become a channel member. It's very simple. I don't know how you're watching the show right now. If you're on a mobile device on iOS, you should be able, there should be a join button right under the video. Like right before the description, there should be like a join button. If you're on your computer, again, look for the white, I think it's a white button, like a white join button. And then it'll give you the tiers. You can pick whichever one you want. You purchase whichever tier, and you'll become a channel member. You'll get to use all the emojis in the chat. There's special emojis, and you'll have a little badge next to your name, like Bobby's World. You see him in the chat. So, yeah, joining is very simple. Just look for the button that says join. That's all you got to do. And if you don't see it on your phone, do it on your computer, because it might not be rolled out to all mobile devices. So, all right, guys, I'm out. Thanks again. I'll see you guys Wednesday night. Take care.